So if you've been on this personal development journey for some time now, it's inevitable that at some point, as your awareness expands, as your intuition begins to open, you are going to experience synchronicities. These cosmic little whispers from the universe that seem to speak to something deeper and more layered than our everyday surface reality. Now, angel numbers are one specific example of a type of synchronicity that have become very popular right now. And you may have a particular take already on angel numbers. Maybe for you, it already sounds like a little bit too woo and you're not quite ready to tap into that. Or maybe you've had a profound angel number experience and you're already in. You already believe, you already feel it in your bones. Now, either way, I want to talk a little bit about synchronicities in a broader sense and how to use them as leverage on your journey. Because they're here for a reason and they're here as a guidepost, but we have to be open to them, and there are ways that we can increase our openness to them. I want to tell a little story about one of my experiences with angel numbers. Now, you could say for most of my path over the last several years, I was pretty neutral about angel numbers. I had definitely experienced some deep synchronicities, including synchronistic dreams and things like this. However, when it came to angel numbers, it was maybe about 4 or 5 years ago that I started to have some really specific experiences that just kind of clicked into me. And it's been a great opportunity to reflect on the meaning and, what these angel numbers tell us about reality, really. Okay, so here's the story. I'm in Los Angeles. It's 2020. I'm visiting one of my sons who lived there at the time. And it's a beautiful, sunny August day in Los Angeles. I mean, glorious. And we took a little hike up the Baldwin Steps. If you're familiar with Los Angeles at all, this is kind of a landmark spot. A lot of people climb up the steps, they run up the steps, they hike up the steps. And then when you get to the top, it's kind of, a lot of people working out, some people just sightseeing. But you make your way to the top of these Baldwin Steps. You're at the top of this hill, and you have this really interesting and beautiful scenic view of Los Angeles. So I had made it to the top. I was taking a moment to pause and meditate a bit. I was really kind of tuning in, feeling into the moment, feeling that fresh air, feeling the sunshine on my face. And I began to get kind of an intuitive download about the city of Los Angeles and its name, Los Angeles, the angels, right? And I started to get this really clear knowing that it was not a coincidence that that city had somehow taken on this aspect, taken on this energy of angels. Now, I know the official story. If you look into the origin story of how Los Angeles got its name, which I did, it's not very, spiritual or synchronistic. There's a very kind of mundane explanation. But I thought, the universe does work in mysterious ways, and it seems to me that this name came to this space for a reason. And say what you will about Hollywood, about California in general, and there's no doubt that a lot of nasty things have happened in show business and in Hollywood. But I could feel in my core that the essence of that place was something about hope. It was something about calling in a sense of expansion and possibility, that anything was really possible, that was the original beacon that had called into that place, and that somehow that was installed by this angelic energy is what I was really feeling. And so I'm in this moment up on the top of, the Baldwin Steps, looking out over Los Angeles, feeling this deep sense of knowing that there was some sort of angelic connection to this space. As corrupted as it may have become over the years, there was still something about the essence of Los Angeles that had this angelic frequency that called people in. And to this day it does, right? And so there I was in that energy and kind of thinking, wow, I would love to connect more deeply with this angelic energy. I'm just really curious about this. Like, what is this really all about? So, all right, we climb down the Baldwin steps. I get a delicious smoothie bowl from a truck. The morning goes on, the day goes on. A few hours later, we're in a grocery store, and I'm checking out. I had gotten some bulk items that had to be weighed, blah, blah, blah. And we're checking out, and I'm at the register. The cashier's ringing me up, and the final price comes up for what I'd bought. It was $31.31. Now, that may not sound like a big deal from the outside, and we'll get to that in a minute. But to me, in that moment, it was as if someone had hit pause on time, and a flash of light beamed down into me, and I just knew with every cell of my body that this was a resonant moment, that there was something important here. 31. I felt it buzzing from the inside out, that this was synchronistic, like this was important. Now, anyone from the outside would not know anything at all extraordinary was happening. And even you now hearing this story may be like, okay, neat, Benjamin, but no, not really seeing the big deal here. And this is the thing about synchronicities that I want to bring in, is that there is this subjective component. If you tell a story of synchronicity from a purely objective point of view, from the outside, it may not seem like anything special. It may not seem like a big deal at all. But this is the thing. There's some sort of subjective knowing that you know how significant this is, that there's a feeling, a subjective feeling that emerges into that moment, and that's what gives it meaning, and that's what gives it power. Now, these seem to happen more and more the further along you get in your practice, in your spiritual path, in your path of personal growth. And we can look to the great psychologist Carl Jung, who has written the most in modern times about synchronicity. And his view of synchronicity is really beautiful. I love it. And this is what I want to bring in now here. Because whether or not you believe that angel numbers are angelic beings speaking to us through this coded, language of numerology, that's okay. That's okay. Because what I want to get across to you is that in essence, it actually doesn't matter. If you have this subjective inner knowing, this explosion of inner knowing that gives you a sense of direction, gives you a sense of peace, that is the important part of a synchronicity, is that you got communicated something. Now, whether that's from angels, whether that's from your subconscious mind, whether that's from your higher self, it doesn't really matter ultimately. If you are getting a sense of meaning that gives you direction, then the synchronicity has spoken to you and done its job. Now, in my case, I went and looked up 3131 angel number on Google in every source I could find. And sure enough, lo and behold, I found extraordinary significance to that specific moment in my life, August 2020, right? You couldn't have spoken more clearly to that moment in my life. So for me, that synchronicity was absolutely important, crucial, and meaningful. From the outside, maybe it's a ho-hum story, but for me, I'm still talking about it 5 years later, right? That's how significant it was. This is the thing about synchronicities. Angel numbers being one example, is the more open you are to this possibility that there's a layer of causality. Jung called this acausal, where in the sense that on the surface it doesn't appear to be connected. This is part of his definition of synchronicities, is these two events or multiple elements come together that don't seem causally connected, but they do. And you have that moment of subjective understanding, and there you are, right? This is one of the core definitions of synchronicity. And if we stay open to this possibility that there's more to the universe than meets the eye, than our conscious mind can possibly comprehend, then it doesn't necessarily matter what you believe about the origins of the synchronicity. A lot of people really connect to this concept of angel numbers. I think there's a sense of reassurance we get that there are guides, there are helpers, there are beings, there are guardians who kind of have our back, and they're here for us, and they're leaving us breadcrumbs, they're leaving us messages, right? And for, this can be extremely reassuring. And I think that's beautiful. But if that's not for you, that's okay too, because I think there's multiple ways you could look at this, including this is your deep subconscious mind orchestrating pattern recognition for you and communicating to you that way. For me, that's just as miraculous and beautiful. I think both are beautiful. It could be a higher self. If you use the language of God, then this could be God and a way of speaking to you indirectly. So here's my word of encouragement for you. Carry on in your spiritual path, in your personal growth. Stay open to the possibility that the universe may speak to you in ways that don't seem causally connected. This could be numbers, this could be images, this could be smells. There's so many layers and layers of possible perception, of frequency, that the universe is constantly feeding us information. And we're so caught up in the machine of the conscious mind and the normal five senses that who really comprehends how much information we're actually missing? And for me, this is where a lot of synchronicities come from, is for just a moment, somehow this normal kind of shield of restriction on our perception drops, or there's a gap, and the universe is able to speak in a more full language to us and through us, and something about our subjective awareness feels that and appreciates that. And the more open you are to synchronicities, the more you'll find. The more you acknowledge them and thank the universe for them, the more you experience. It's a beautiful thing. I would love to hear some of your experiences of synchronicity, maybe angel numbers in particular. So let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. And can't wait to hear your angel number stories.